Hey guys, it's Yvette and I am starting week 3 of the Fort Worth Fabric Studios Love Supreme quilt. I don't know why I do that. I feel like I should find, like, maybe I should sing a Supreme song, or I don't know. I'll have to think of something for maybe for the finale. We'll see. Anyway, this week we are going to be doing these X blocks, and I'm always excited whenever we have the things like this and then we get to trim them to 3-inch squares. I always like that because I know that at least those squares, if nothing else, are going to be fine. Because my stuff always comes out too small. Not by a lot lately. I've been getting a lot better, but it can be a little annoying. Okay, so here we go. We are going to read through the instructions real quick. The general instructions say that all the seams are 1/4 inch unless otherwise noted, and that RST means right sides together. Okay, number 1, we are going to pair all the squares right sides together as listed here. So we are going to take the A fabric. We're going to take 4 of those and attach it to right sides together, not attach it, but put them right sides together with all of the C blocks that we have. And then we're going to take 4 more of the A fabric, and we're going to attach it to 4 of the white squares with red dots. We're going to take another 4 of the A squares, and we're going to pair them with 4 of the G squares, which is the grunge. And then we're going to take the remaining 4 F squares and 4 G squares. We're going to pair those together, and we're going to make just a bunch of these half square triangles, okay? And then for number 2, we're going to, once we have those paired together, and we're going to sew them around the outside, all the way around the outside, all of those, like all of them. And we're going to then cut them diagonally this way and then this way, which will give us 4 half square triangle squares, and which will give us 16 of each of those piles, right? So we're going to have a lot of squares, which is awesome. And then we're going to, once we do that, we're going to press them, and then we're going to trim them. They suggest doing it with a block lock ruler. In this particular instance, guys, since we are trimming them to 3-inch squares, the smallest block lock we have, or at least that I have, is a 4.5 inch. So we won't be able to do it all nice like that one from last week. Ooh, that was nice, right? Okay, so, but we can still use it if we'd like to do that. And then once we're done, we're going to have 64 half square triangle blocks. Okay, then number 3 is when we're going to assemble all of the X blocks. We're going to arrange them as they are listed here. And then once we get there, then I will go over pressing the seams and so that they nest, okay? And we did that. We did the pressing the seams to the right, the left, the right again on week 1. I think this time I might do them open because I'm telling you guys, I just love how it lays flat. And I know that this way, if you want to press right, left, please do that, okay? If you prefer to nest the seams, please do that. I don't have a problem with just pulling it back, and I can see exactly where they're going to match. And that's how I put them together. So since on the week 1, I did it this way, I think this week I might show you how I do them open and then just peel back, and I know that they're all together. So let's get started on this. I'm so excited. I'm going to pair all of the squares together first. So here we go. Okay, we have, I don't know why I say we, I have finished marking all of the 1/4 inch seam allowances, and I'm going to head over to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew those up. Okay guys, so I am ready to sew these squares. We are going to be sewing all the way around each one with a 1/4 inch seam, and I'm going to chain piece them, and I'll show you exactly how I'm going to do that. I'm going to sew right onto one, go all the way around, and then off, and then on to the next one. And I'll make sure I take you through that before speeding up the camera on you so that you can see all of that. Now, the other thing that I want to remind you of is I am going to be pressing my triangles open, and since I'm doing that, I am changing my stitch length to 1.4 millimeters. Anything you can get close to that is just fine. And so let's get going. Okay, this is the 4th side. Oops. It's on. Okay, I stitched right off the edge. I'm going to take the next one and I'm just going to chain piece it. Just keep going right in there. Okay, so we are back with the squares that we have sewed all the way around all 4 sides, and we are now going to do as shown in figure 2. We are going to cut diagonally across this way and then across this way, and after we're done we'll have 64 half square triangle blocks. So let's get started doing that. It is a bit easier if we can rotate as we are cutting. Okay. Because then we don't have to move the block, which is what it's ideal. Okay, so now I'm back and I have all of my half square triangles cut and I'm ready to start pressing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to run through all of these and give them a quick press to close up the holes that we just stitched. Okay, so now I am going to press my triangles open, which is, it's just the way I prefer to do it. If you would like to, you can press your seams to the dark side, which would be the red ones in this particular case, toward this way. And then you could use the block lock ruler. Now, since we're going to have to trim up to 3-inch squares, I just sort of left them, I feel like it's okay for me to do the pressing open because I am going to have to use a different ruler anyway, or I could use a block lock, but it wouldn't be as fun as that first time when we had those 4.5 inch and it matched up to the exact ruler. That was awesome. But this particular way I'm going to show you so that you can see that if you don't have a block lock ruler, you can still have your squares will be perfectly fine. Okay, so here we go. I have them all pressed open, and now we're ready to trim them up. So let me get my, I've got my little rotary cutting board. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to cut each one of these down to 3 inches square. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just use a regular ruler. Well, it's a Creative Grids non-skip, non-slip. Sorry. And so we're going to go to 3 inches and 3 inches. And we're just going to put this line here down the middle of our seam. So, let me move my cutter. I'm going to put that there. And it looks like we're cutting off quite a bit. So, that's good. That gives us a bit of leeway for making sure, you know, so that we know that we're going to be cutting off those little straggling ends and all of that stuff. Okay. So I'm just going to cut that. And now I would be the first to admit that it's definitely easier with the, oops. It's definitely easier with the, I can't even think of words. Block lock, thank you. Because it will lock into place. But this, as I'm saying, is if you can't afford it or, you know, whatever the reason may be, this is just letting you know that you have other options. You don't have to use it that way. Like it doesn't, you don't have to have them. And because this will still work. I mean, it's going to be fine. It's just harder because it doesn't have, you know, all those features of the block lock. So the block lock is definitely worth it. I mean, if you can afford it, definitely go ahead and get it. If, you know, like I said, if you can. All right, so now that we've done that first cut, this is the one that's the most important. So I want to take, make sure that I have my number 3 along the left and this number 3 along the bottom. And of course, the diagonal across our seam. Okay, so that's good right there. And I'm just going to make that cut and then make this cut. Okay. And of course, as you start doing them, it's going to get easier and easier. Especially if you've just gotten done with the block lock ruler, because this one, like I said, it's just easier with the block lock. So when you're making this first cut, like I'm saying, you just want to make sure your number 3 here and your number 3 here is somewhere within your fabric so that you know that you have some on the outsides here that will be available to trim. Okay. Okay, so I have finished cutting these down to 3 by 3 inch squares. And now we are ready to assemble our rows so that then we can take the rows and assemble the whole blocks. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get this all set up just like it looks here, and then we'll start putting them together so that we know how we're going to press them and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's see here. I forgot which ones were the A's. Okay, actually, I like how she put right here, background with gingham. Awesome. Okay, so that means that I know that A is the white fabric with the words on it. And C, she says, are the gingham. So here we are with this. So where it says AC, that's that one. And then I'm going to put them in this order. So AF, which is the background with white and red dot, which is this one. And then she's got background with metallic grunge, which is this one. And then she's got white and red dot with metallic grunge. Okay, so if I know that, I'm looking at these here, and they're lit. Well, I know you probably, maybe you can't see over here. Let me scooch them a little bit, but I'm gonna need to make the squares. So, all right, now I'm gonna be looking at the diagram. I need an AC in this corner, and I need an AC here in that direction, and then AC, AC. Okay, so these look like they are the corners, and I'm just gonna go ahead and lay them all out so that I'll have all 4 of my squares, or blocks, I should say. All 4 of my blocks will be completely ready to go. Okay. And those will go there. And then these last ones will go here. Okay, the next one I want is an AG, which are these with the grunge. And I'm going to, let me put the grunge this way just for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So those will go like that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll have these go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. These go that way. 2, 3, 4. And these last 4 go here. Okay. Then we need AF, which are these guys. So I'm going to have, and F is the dot. Okay, so I'm going to put that way so I can see 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to just start scooching them together because that's how they go. 1, 2, 3, 4 of these will then go here where the F is. Okay, then we go like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then the F goes like this. We'll scooch those up. And these last 4 will go like that, right? Yes, like that. All right, and then we have the grunge and dots that are left. And let's see, G is grunge. Oh, that's helpful. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And that goes like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. These go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these go this way. And then the last 4 These go that way. Okay, so you can see our X right there in the middle, and so this is what our block is going to look like. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to draw lines on the back of the block so that they can be put together. And then once I have all of my lines drawn, I'm going to take everything over to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew all of these rows together, all of these rows together, these and these. So once we have all of the rows sewed, then I'll come back and we'll do our pressing. Okay, so I have drawn all of my 1/4 inch lines on my fabric, and I am ready to connect them together. So that's what I'm going to start doing now. I am going to chain stitch them, and I'm going to do one section at a time. So basically I will be sewing them on, and then for the first 4, and then I'll have to come back and do the next, and then you'll see. It's the quickest way to do it, and it's definitely what I recommend. So I'm going to put these in front of me so I don't keep sticking my hand in your face. And okay, so I'm going to start with you. Okay, so basically the way that I have put them down is I have the last or the rightmost square is on top. So I'm gonna sew like basically across the toward the left. So that's what I'm going to be doing, just so that you understand what you're seeing in here. Okay. So you want to put them next to each other as they're going to be sewn, and then you're going to flip the top one on so that they are right sides together. And then I'm going to make sure that the squares are perfectly lined on top of each other, especially for the first one, because that'll be like a really good indication of how you're going to go forward. Okay. I'm going to shorten my stitch length since I'm going to press open. All right, so here are my strips or my rows that I have, and I'm just going to sort of lay them out so I can get them in order. Okay, those are the same. I'm just gonna lay them out. We'll figure out which ones are which. Let's see. Hope you guys are enjoying this quilt. I am. I'm liking it. Okay, so I think these are the two middle ones, and which would make it like that, I think. Let me just see. All right, so AC, AG, AF, AC. Okay, so that's definitely row 1. And then that's definitely 2. That's 3 and that's 4. Okay, so I think these are correct. All right, so what I was going to do is I was going to press everything open and show you how I do that. But I'm thinking that perhaps I should just, well, it says press seams as preferred. Oh, they're talking about the seams once we stitch the rows together. Okay. All right, so they're telling us how to press the seams, so I'm just going to do that. Okay, so what they're having us do is we are going to press our row 1 seams toward the right, and then our row 2 is going to be toward the left, row 3 toward the right, and then row 4 to the left. So let's just do that. Okay, I don't want to confuse anybody, so we will just do that. Okay. Got my iron. All right, so this up here is row 1. And since we are going to be pressing to the right, I'm going to take the square to the right, I'm going to put that to the top. That's how we know that we are going to be pressing all toward that direction. All right, so what we'll do is first we do a quick little press just to close up those holes we pressed in there, and then we just kind of flip it over. And then on the second one, we'll do the same thing. And again, you're not pulling, you're just kind of making sure you flip it, and you want to keep them to where it looks, you know, like it is. You want to, as much as you can, go straight up and down. I mean, sometimes you do have to slide a little bit. At least I know I do. You just don't want to slide a whole bunch. You just want to try to just press it and not, because sometimes I think they say that when you know, if you rub up and down or sideways too much, then what happens is, you might get some skewing in your seam, and we don't want to do that. Okay. Again, we're going to put this to the top. Okay, so here we are with row 2, and now we're going to press these seams to the left. So when I take one of these rows, I want to take the left side and move that to the top, and now we're going to press these just like we did the first, except like I said, rotating the left side to the top. Okay, so now we are up to row 3, and we are going to press to the right. So again, we will take our strip, put the right side to the top, and press. Okay, and finally, row 4, We are going to press to the left, so the left side will go to the top, and we press. Okay, so we have done all our pressing, and now we are ready to put these rows together, and this is how I'm going to prepare for that. I'm going to take the first 2 rows. I'll take one of the top row, one of the second row, and then I'm going to take the second row, flip it over the top, and we are going to be, well, if you draw a seam allowance line, which you guys know I do, this is where it's going to be. And the first thing I want to do is make sure that my seams are all lined up. So there, that one is really good. And you can see that my seams are nesting right here, and I can feel it with my fingers that the seam allowances themselves are bumping up against each other right here in the middle. And that one feels good. And that one does as well. Okay, and that's where I want my line to be, so I'm going to do that now. I'm gonna need this. Oops. Block, fell off. Okay, so I am going to draw that line. Oops. Okay, and I just like to put a little pressure wherever it is that I am marking, like on that little area, just so that it doesn't move. It's the only reason. Sometimes you have to manipulate just the tiniest bit. I'm not sure why I'm getting a lump here. It's like moving. I don't know why. So if you guys ever have something like that happen, believe me when I tell you, you are not the only one who has weird stuff happening when you're trying to do anything, really. I mean, believe me, if something's happening to you, it's happened to someone else before. Because none of us have everything perfect. Had to get my Wonder Clips. Okay. And because the only reason I'm putting Wonder Clips in this particular instance is because, number one, the seams that we want to match up, and number two, it's kind of a longer piece, and so I just prefer not to have to fuss with it when I get over to the machine. I've already got it laid out. No need to have to do it 2 or 3 times while I'm over there trying to fuss around with it. So that's why I just do it now. Because to me, it makes more sense to just do it now and not worry after that. You do whatever makes you comfortable, really. I also like to try to get things as, you know, precise as possible, because that's just how I am. And then I do like to put one, not right at the beginning, but like sort of here, since it's kind of silly to put one there because you're going to start stitching there. But if you put one like between where you're going to start stitching and then the next Wonder Clip, then you have a little bit more stability as well. Okay, so I have attached rows 1 and 2 together, and now I am going to mark up for row 3 to be attached. So here we go. I'm going to do it the exact same way. Okay, so we have the 3 rows that are all connected, and we have just 1 more to go. So now we're going to add those. After I add this last row, I am going to head over to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew them on, press it, and then come back with the final blocks. Okay guys, it's the end of week 3. Here are our X's. There are our hearts. And then from week 1, there are our O's. So we are all set to put everything together next week. And I hope you guys have had as much fun as I have making these blocks. It's been really, really fun. I love all the colors in it. I love the way it's coming together. The O's, the X's, the hearts, just everything. Really quite exciting. Look at my little hearts. Hello, little hearts. So anyway, I will see you guys next week when we put this all together and make our Love Supreme quilt. So until then, have a fun time sewing, and I'll see you later.